grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.
Hi, welcome to another Sunny Side of the Street. I'm your host, Todd Gross, a clinical psychologist and been director of Adams Street Associates in Newton. And for 22 years, we have been doing programs where we interview people and organizations that are doing positive things. And the reason that we do that is that when you watch the media, very often the side of human nature that gets really emphasized is the negative side with all the bad stories. And we want to even it out, because even though there are problems in the world, we all know that, there are lots of people doing wonderful things, and they don't often get much play in the media. And I think our consciousness needs to be filled with a lot more of these positive stories. And today is another example of one of them, and I think you're going to really enjoy this. We have one guest who lives in California who will be with us on the screen, and we have another one that lives here in Massachusetts. And this is going to be a story about two sisters where the love that they have for each other and the healing that came out of that love is much wider than the distance between Boston and San Francisco, for sure. And so I can't wait for you to hear their story and to hear some of the amazing insights that came out of their experience together. So without any further ado, let me introduce our two guests for you. First, I want to introduce Hillary O'Doy. And Hillary is an early education teacher, director, mentor, and consultant with a demonstrated history of creating and sustaining high-quality early childhood programs. She's skilled in the implementation of Reggio Emilia-inspired model, differentiated instruction, and emergent curriculum development. She has a Bachelor of Science focused in family and child development from Virginia Polytech Institute and State University, and she received her MA in Innovative Early Childhood from the University of Colorado in Boulder. She has worked as a curriculum coordinator specialist at the Parker River Community Preschool, executive director also of the Newtown School Family Co-op Preschool, as well as the Charlestown Nursery School director of the Radcliffe Care Center, Campus Child Care, and the Professional Center for Child Development. So you can hear from that, she likes kids.
I love them.
I don't blame you. Welcome, it's good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm delighted you're here, Hillary. And secondly, I'd like to introduce Cindy England, who's our friend here from California. And she is a channeler, energy healer, spiritual mentor, and author. She's certified as a Usui crystalline Reiki master, teacher and advanced shamanic Reiki practitioner. She works with people's energy fields, which you'll hear more about, to uncover and assist in releasing whatever might be in the way of their health and well-being. She's passionate about guiding individuals on their spiritual journey toward healing, awakening, and embodying their divine essence and realizing their true potential. She's able to work with people who are seeking healing, spiritual guidance, or simply looking to tap into their intuitive abilities. You will hear today an amazing example of her healing work. Welcome, Cindy, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Well, it is a pleasure. And maybe to get us started for our audience, let me ask both of you to comment a little bit about your lives before a lot of the healing work that you both have done. And I want to add that they have told their story in this book here, which is called Healing with Love. And it is quite a book, as you'll hear a lot of the ideas that came out of it. But I'm interested in each of you first giving our audience a little sense of a little bit of your lives before all the healing that's talked about in this book occurred. And whichever way you want to start,
I'll go
Hillary?
first, yeah. Thank you so much. So we're sisters, and
Yes.
I'm 2 years older than Cindy. We have a brother as well, who's our older, a year older than me. So we've always pretty much lived on opposite sides of the country. She's in San Francisco, I'm in Boston. I raised my children without my parents nearby. They're in New York. So I was very head down, doing all the things that every working mom is doing.
Yeah.
I was taking care of the kids. I was trying to hold a job. I was trying to keep the house going.
Lots of hats.
Lots of hats. That's actually the phrase that I use all the time. I would just keep changing hats and trying to do all of the things. And I think the way that I used to be, and to characterize who I was probably before this book, was someone who found value in service to others. I didn't know what self-love felt like. I didn't really understand how to receive love unconditionally. So I feel like I was raised in this very parentified way where my value was found in what I was able to give for others. I do love being busy. I do love volunteering. I do love service to others. But I'm now doing that in a new way where I'm taking care of myself first. And back then, I was just pouring out my cup, just kept pouring out, and I never took the time to fill it. And I think many women in today's society can relate to the fact that they're just taking care of others and forgetting about themselves. So that kind of summarizes who I was prior to this
and the journey to really loving yourself from loving others and giving is an interesting story, right?
Right, and
we'll
I think
hear it.
Loving myself and giving is the formula that I'm now
Both,
working on, right?
which
Because I
makes
didn't want to
a lot
stop,
of sense.
but over volunteering and running the boards and the PTA and the booster clubs and just giving it all away and not taking any for myself. So that my lessons here will shift that.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this too.
hope so.
And maybe let me ask Cindy the same kind of question, a little bit of what your path was like, the journey you were on before a lot of this healing occurred.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar. Working mom, juggling the house, it's doing, going. And I'm someone who moves a lot, and I move fast. So I was constantly on the go, just going, racing from work to the kids, to the soccer game, to the ballet class, whatever it was. And I would literally be running around, and then I'd stop and I'd do a yoga class. And I joke because it was the last few minutes of yoga class where you lay in Shavasana, dead man's pose, and you just lay still, and you have like 3 to 5 minutes of meditation. Like that was my solitude. That was my only stillness.
Thank God for those few minutes.
Yeah, so I was like so grateful for those few minutes, but it was just constant movement.
Yeah.
I just was going all the time. So yeah, and then my life just came to a complete halt, and everything sort of stopped for me, and that's what really catapulted my journey in a new direction.
Take me a little further now into how you got involved in healing too.
Yeah, so I was going through a major life transition, so I was kind of leaving that chapter behind. So my daughter had flown the nest, I was an empty nester. I quit my job. I moved out of the Bay Area to a small town in the woods. As you can see, I'm in a forest.
A lot of changes.
Beautiful.
The hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
And all this life came to a halt, and I thought, okay, all the parts of me that I used to identify with, who I was as a mother, how I was as literally I was a workaholic, so my work really defined, who I was and how I portrayed myself in the world. And all of that came to an end. And I was like, okay, here I am sitting in this forest. All that part of me is behind me. And I'm like, what next? Who am I next?
Right.
Who am I? What is my purpose? And so it was sort of a bit of a dark night of the soul. I don't know if you've heard that term, but it's like every way I used to identify was just stripped away.
Yes.
And I had to kind of go inward and go, okay, what is my purpose, and what is the purpose of life? Like, what's the meaning of being here? And so I started really going inward and asking those big questions, and I had this blank canvas, and I was like, okay, I have to decide what I want to do next. And in that time frame, I really embarked on a spiritual journey, and I started seeking answers to those questions. I'm like, there's more to this than, meets the eye. And so just started gobbling up, different spiritual books and videos on metaphysics, and just started learning as much as I could. And I also, for the first time, started meditating every single day. And it's something I always wanted to do, but I just never prioritized. I was like, I have got to be still and quiet. And
Was it hard for you to do that, to make the change?
It was very hard, because my mind would, I'd be like, oh, there's that thought, there's that thought. And I had to learn, don't grab the thought, just let it float. Just let the float and just come back to stillness, come back to center. And that was a process, right?
Right.
You have to kind of retrain yourself to just be. I was so used to doing, and I had to learn to be, just, learn to be present and still and quiet. And that's when the wisdom started to flow through me. That's when I started to connect to my higher self and guides, and I started to hear voices and messages from them. And I started automatic writing, which is the process of getting into a meditative state and then journaling and just writing and connecting with higher guidance. And as soon as I started doing that, and I was like, there's somebody or something talking to me that's not coming from my mind, it's coming from beyond. And so I started asking questions like, what's my purpose and why am I here? And I started getting answers.
It must have been really surprising, really surprising.
Really surprising. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just tap into here? It's just
Yeah.
this well of information. And the messages would come through with just such love and support that it would move me to tears sometimes, because I just felt so held and loved. So I knew it was from the non-physical realm. I knew it was my angels and guides that love and support me. And so, so I just started paying attention to everything they said, for sure.
So you came to trust those voices too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, every piece of advice they gave me was always spot on. It was always exactly what I needed to hear. It was never fearful. It was always just, we love you, we adore you, you're on the right track. Just keep going down this path, follow the breadcrumbs. We are guiding and supporting you. And I'm like, okay, I can follow the breadcrumbs. So that's basically what I did, is just let them lead me.
Right.
And then so much unfolded, from there as I started to listen and pay attention to what they were telling me.
Yeah, I one of the questions I was going to ask you both, because I know you also got into meditation as well, and channeling. On the channeling for our audience, I wonder if you could help them understand what it felt like to hear, because you're getting an auditory response, and it's somehow connected to something you trust and is loving. I mean, all those elements are there, so instead of being freaked out, you're just really going with it. But I wonder if you could, because a lot of people might say, well, I could sit and meditate, but I don't think I'd get anything. So what do you think? What would you each say? I want to give you both a chance to comment on that.
Do you want to go first? Yeah, Cindy?
Yeah, I would say for me, it feels like thoughts are being dropped into my head. So I don't hear with my ears. It's not a physical thing.
Right.
It's just a no. So it's a form of telepathy, really. It's like you're tapping into a frequency and you're just starting to hear information. So it comes through like a stream of consciousness. It's just information. That's how it feels to me.
Okay, that's helpful. And for you,
I would say the analogy would be, did you turn off the oven? Go check the oven. Or don't go left, go right. Like those little Jiminy Cricket kind of intuition messages we all hear and we all get. I think for me, I had heard them, and I think it's sharpening our intuition. It's hearing from source is like an elevated version of your own little intuition. But for so many years, I just turned that off because I was so busy taking care of everyone. I'm like, nope, can't sit down. Nope, I need to eat the sugar because I need to keep going. That's not really good for you. Nope, I'm going to do it. Where I was just ignoring those little voices. And then when it became the automatic writing, and you're writing to yourself, or there's words you would never use, right, that come in, you're like, this is something greater than me. But it comes with such love that and because you're in a place, you've set yourself in a place of meditation to receive, you've set yourself up to receive, you're in a focused place, that it comes so naturally. And again, it's not like this bolting voice, it's this knowing and this word or two that for me came through very, very subtly.
Those are about the best descriptions I've heard of something that's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Also, the connection between your meditation and then getting these messages coming through you, that you wrote it down. And for people who have not seen the book yet, although I hope you get it because it's wonderful, you wrote down, thank God, what came to you. And that's one of the powerful things that I would say about the book and reading it, that you see the question you asked, and I think one of the points underneath it is it's okay to ask for yourself
Big step,
too.
yeah.
And I'm glad that was very clear to both of you. You proceeded, you know. But the connection between the questions that you asked for guidance on and the answers that you wrote down that came through you, that's where the amazing magic is, because the answers are, which we'll talk about a little bit, I hope, as we go along, but that's one of the exciting things about this book. I just wanted to say.
I appreciate that.
yeah.
For me, sometimes when I'm doing the automatic writing, I'll write and I'll write and I'll write, and I feel like I'm just writing, and then I'll put it down, and then I always go back and read it later, and it's in that reading later where I'm like, oh, wow. I don't truly hear what they said as I'm channeling.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if Cindy, you would agree, but like
We'll
going
see.
back and capturing it, like I think you were just recording yourself sometimes too, right? And then going back and listening to the affirmations, and it's like, wow, that was amazing. So,
Well,
yeah.
and how about for you, Cindy? Is that similar or different?
Yeah, and I think, yeah, absolutely. It's things you would never say. You know,
Exactly.
so we were blown away at
Yes.
Yeah.
coming through. They're just like, ask and you shall receive. Like literally, all we have to do is ask.
Is ask.
We all have these angels and
All of
guides that
us.
are assigned to help us, and they just are waiting in the wings for us to ask them for help. So if we just say, you know, please help me, please tell me what I need to know about this situation. Tell me what I need to know about why this illness came into Hillary's life. Like, tell us what we need to know. They told us what we needed to know. You know, it's just available to us. We just have to ask, and most people don't think to ask.
Wow. And I think for the people that are watching the show, one of the things that I hope comes from what both Hillary and Cindy are saying is that we're not alone. We're really not alone. And, you know, we have the concept of being lonely, like, is there anyone else in the room, anybody that loves me, all those kinds of things.
right.
And these were loving essences and part of your own inner, you know, your
Yeah,
higher self
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And they were so positive. They weren't saying, you know, you could have washed that dish a little better. You know, that wasn't the
criticism
message,
whatsoever.
You know? And they were really
Yeah.
encouraging you, and they weren't expecting you to be perfect either.
And I found out as I continued my healing, the more angels came to my side. Like there was one point where we asked, how many people are on her team now? And the number was, you know, 60, 70, 80. You know, they come and arrive when you're asking, but we
Yeah.
have to ask, right? I think that's the important part is we need to extend that invitation. We're ready to hear.
Right.
I've set the space, I've set the tone, the meditation. I'm ready to receive. And then they arrive.
Yeah. Well, now we come to the point where the two of you really united and really got going. I'll let Hillary tell that part a little bit first, if that's okay.
Sure,
What
yeah,
happened? What
yes,
happened? And
sure.
from your point of view, and then Cindy come in with a lot of the powerful things that you joined her on.
Sure. So during COVID, as Cindy was, you know, resetting, I was doing the same thing, just trying to figure out what was next. Blessed with the time with my family, but did get sick, not with COVID, but was sick. And kind of as I came out of COVID, I realized that my body didn't fully heal. I had paid more attention to my intuition, and I was starting to hear like something is just not right.
I see.
I had very little symptoms, but I just had a knowing
Had a
that
sense.
something was off. My husband's job had changed, our doctors had changed. I kept going to my PCP. There were lines out the door because COVID backlogs was crazy.
Sure, it was a
I'll
crazy
see you in
time.
6 months. Oh, you know, you didn't get to see your OBGYN because you have a new one because your plan changed. I'll see you in April was what I heard. And I kind of went out of network and decided to go to a doctor just to say, I used to be your patient, can you please help me out? And lo and behold, after me pushing and following my intuition and every doctor saying, your symptoms are not present enough for us to see you, I literally in November scheduled an appointment for April to be seen, and I was not okay with that. So
That's one interruption. There's
Yeah,
one
sorry.
thing
Yeah.
very good about what you're saying, that you listen to your inner voice.
for the first time in
And you were starting to pay attention, and boy, did it pay off, as people will hear.
Yes.
I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt.
no, please.
Yeah.
So that was November where I made the appointment and made it through the holidays, but then in January said, no way, I got to go in. Had surgery in February, and
Yeah.
they found an ovarian, a tumor on my fallopian tube. So I didn't know about that tumor until after surgery, but there was about a 50% chance that it was cancer. And as soon as I found out about that possibility, I was home alone with my husband and my son, who was a senior in high school, who I wasn't going to talk to.
Yeah.
And I locked myself in my room. I curled up in a corner and I called my sister.
Good choice.
And I'm going to throw it to her.
All right. Thank you, Hillary. That sets the stage very well. Wow, what a scary time, though.
Absolutely, yes. That was, I would say, that is the point of my journey when I was scared and fearful, but that didn't last very long.
Okay,
But,
all right.
Yeah.
Oh, Cindy, help us out now when you got the call from there.
And prior to that call, my guides had been nudging me to study energy healing. They were
Okay.
like, you feel with your heart, you should study Reiki, this is your purpose. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not what I did, all these years of my career. And so they were leading me to learn about energy healing and to start practicing it. And so I become a Reiki master, and I'm like, okay, got my certificate. What am I doing with this? What next? And I literally asked them, okay, show me, like, what am I supposed to do next? And it was the next day that my sister called and
wow.
said, I think I'm answer. So I was like, okay, this is a divine synchronicity. This was all in preparation for this moment to help my sister. And so, of course, we processed the news, and I told her, I said, I'm going to be there for you every step of the way in any way possible that I can to support you through this. You're
you
going to
were.
be okay through this, and we are. And so I told her in this moment, like, what flew through my mouth, came from beyond, was, you need healing and I need Reiki practice, so call in sick tomorrow and let's try it.
Perfect match.
Let's try it. And she was like, okay. You can't go to work. You need to take care of yourself. Take this time, pause, and just take care of yourself. Stop for a minute. This is important. And so the next morning, we literally hopped on FaceTime and started practicing Reiki. And so I would just, through our sessions, I would just basically scan through using my own body sort of as a proxy. I would scan and just kind of feel for blockages in the body where things maybe weren't flowing. I would be receiving messages from my guides about maybe what energetic, psychic debris was sitting there, unhealed wounds, unresolved emotions that needed to be processed. All those things were like session by session were kind of bubbling up to the surface. And with each one that came up, we would work to address it and try to heal it and release it. And so we just kept doing this, several sessions a week while Hillary was waiting to hear from the doctors and figuring out what to do next. So she kind of went down both paths, right? Like
Yes.
advice, but then let's look at it and tackle it energetically too. Let's not
Right,
ignore
both.
the energetic component, because that's just as important.
Yes. Could you comment a little on where your hands changed movement and how that turned out to be another very important piece?
Yeah, it was interesting. So first I was like, my hands would go right where I knew the tumor was. I knew which side it was on. I could feel it.
I never
was
told
feeling
her.
energy there. And after a session or so, my guys just kept moving my hands up to my heart. And I'd go, no, the cancer's down here. And they're like, nope, healing needs to happen in the heart. So I just kept being guided to bring my hands up to her heart chakra. And I didn't fully understand it until we started digging in, what is she carrying in her heart chakra? And they showed me, the first visual I got was a bag of marbles. And I said, Hillary, they are showing me this bag of marbles, and it's full, and it's stuffed, and it's heavy, and it's cinched tight, and it's all the stuff that you're carrying. And they're energetically telling me you've got to open up that sack of marbles and start going through and looking at what you're holding on to and decide, like, is this a marble that I want to polish off and keep, or is this something that's not serving me to hold on to, and just roll it away?
How did
And
that
so they
feel for
kept
you?
using-
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, that's a good
How
question.
did that feel when she said that?
I am big on metaphors, so I believe that was delivered in a way that I could totally resonate
Right.
with it. And I could feel physically on my end a vibration. I could feel when she was moving to my heart, my chest rising. Like, we are 3,000 miles apart, but I could feel just this pull. There were times where I would hear like a static electricity over the phone. And I just, it was just incredible in my end. So I would set the stage to be in my tiny little room. I would lay back, and then this would happen. And it was 3 times a week, over FaceTime. Our energy we're all connected through energy, but our energy was so strong that the distance didn't matter. But for me, that bag of marbles was a task of like, okay, now I know what work I need to do. It kind of narrowed it for me of like, it's not really about the tumor that's down here. It's about all that I've been carrying, all the different emotions. So I started just peeling, like, what could be these marbles be?
Yes.
And I didn't have to work very hard, because in my head I would hear, oh, that thing that happened,
Yeah.
or oh, you forgot about that. Or I was actually in grad school and an assignment would come up and it would remind me of a marble or something that had
Yes.
happened. Or she would get a reading and she would say, they're showing me something about a Jack-in-the-Box. What does that mean to you? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yesterday I was thinking about the time that I got jumped from behind from the guy, da 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 da.
Yes.
And so they were coming, the marbles were coming through what she was hearing, through what I was remembering.
Yes.
And every time I would have a core memory, I would do the work of sitting with it, processing it, writing a letter if it was somebody involved, of forgiveness. There were a lot of marbles where I needed to forgive myself, where I thought I was to blame. There were lots of situations where I just needed to shift the perspective, like where I was the one who responded with anger, where I could have responded in a different way. And then what was my takeaway from that experience, that I can now shift the marble by polishing it and make it a meaningful experience instead of one that felt traumatic. So there was the work that I was doing in the time that we started. I think it was January through maybe February 11th, probably 6 to 8 weeks of just, being home full time and just doing this work in my little sacred space.
Yes.
While we were doing the Reiki. So it was really powerful.
Another thing to follow up what you said that was so interesting in the book, I felt, was when the surgery actually happened, there was some real confirmation of what you had intuited, Cindy, and what you felt in parallel. Can you say a little about, so people can hear? I think that's fascinating, and I'm not surprised, but I think it's a miracle.
That point resonates with a lot of our readers.
Yeah.
So I went into surgery not knowing. Again, my blood tests were 50%.
Right.
It could have been anything. I woke up in recovery knowing full well that I did have cancer because of the stitches that I had. And when I found out the results later, and Cindy actually channeled a message from her guides while I was in surgery and after, so she can share next. But they removed the tumor, and when the tumor came out of my fallopian tube, it was sealed like a little sausage. Like the work that she had done on that tumor was like, nope, these cells are not going anywhere. It's all in a little package. And I believe that was the work they did before their hands went to my heart. They removed 29 lymph nodes in my body, and the one farthest away from my tumor, where they've only one had remnants of the cancer, was the one behind my heart.
And that was what you worked on too, Cindy, right?
Yeah. And my doctor said, I just felt like I just needed to reach up there, and I just at the last minute plucked that one. And she said, and that was the one that tested positive. And it was the farthest from the tumor.
Wow.
So they were kind of wowed with that anomaly of like, I've never seen a tumor cased like that. She said it was just like a little sausage, so sealed. And that to us, we began asking, like, tell us more, right? Remember that was probably when our jaws were hitting the floor.
Can you add to that, Cindy?
Yeah, and they said things like, the sealing of the tumor, that was our doing. That's where we went first to avoid the spread. I mean, they literally said that. I'm like, oh, so we did that. And then they said things like, the cancer's been cleared now, not just physically from the body with the surgery, but it's been energetically cleared because it served its purpose. So it's been released. We told you it was coming out, and now it's out, and we are affirming that it's been released.
Wow.
I'm like, okay.
Amazing.
And then they said, we want you to understand how powerful energy healing is. We orchestrated this experience not only to help Hillary become healed and evolved and awakened, but also to help you understand how powerful you are to heal. And we were like, oh my goodness. I mean, literally speechless.
There's so many important implications of what you're saying. What occurs to me is even for people who are relying particularly on only Western traditional medicine, there's something more that you can do that you can really help yourself. And I think part of what I get from what you guys are saying is that when the locus of control is inside yourself too, then you participate in your healing, and it doesn't have to be either or, it can be a marriage of the two.
Right. I believed the diagnosis. I didn't really necessarily believe the prognosis, right? Like I took control of that. And I think my goal was to not just physically heal, but to heal my emotional self, my whole self. And I think, having my whole experience, I think that's the one takeaway, is that when you are healing, it's not just the physical or the mental, or there's just so many avenues of how to fully heal. I believe, that tumors are energy blocks, and a lot of the work that I did in my meditations, aside the work from Cindy, was to do chakra clearing so that my energy could flow through my body, because I see those tumors as kind of like marbles or rocks that just jam up the energy flow, the chi that's just blocked. So if I can continue through meditation in my well body and continue to meditate every day and make sure that my chakras are cleared, I don't attract illness. I feel that it's not something that will even enter my orbit, because I'm keeping my energy flowing by the practices that I have now.
It's a good explanation of it too. Now, because there are so many interesting things that you talked about where it led to some ideas of what you can do to help yourself, I want to just ask you a few questions. One of the things that was mentioned before is the idea of following the breadcrumbs. Could you say a little bit about what the meaning of that really is? Cindy, you want to do that one?
Listen to your higher self and guides. They know so much more than you do.
Yeah.
I mean, our human perspective is so limited, and they see everything from a bird's eye view. They know why we incarnated, what lessons we're working on, what soul expansion is needed. They're trying to guide and nudge us towards growth and evolution. And they kept telling this came through in the book a lot as well. They kept saying, everything is an opportunity for growth and evolution. Everything.
Yeah.
Illness is a catalyst. It's an opportunity to catapult yourself to a new level. And so if we look at our lives through that way, okay, I have this challenging situation in front of me. Let me look at it not as a challenge, but as an opportunity. What is this here to teach me? Did I attract this experience into my life? Because really we do attract these experiences to help us grow and evolve. We're co-creating our reality all of the time. And so whether we're doing that consciously or unconsciously, the universe serves up whatever we're holding. So if we're holding the feeling of I am healed, then the universe says, okay, she's healed.
Right.
If we're holding the vibration of frustration and anger, guess what? The universe just keeps, Cindy's frustrated. Let's bring her more circumstances that reinforce that belief that life is frustrating. Let me just keep giving her more things, right? So whatever we hold energetically, the universe mirrors. And so really one of the keys to Hillary's healing was her holding the belief firmly that she was healed. Mm-hmm. And we were able to do that, thankfully, because the guides were telling us that, like, it's been cleared, she's healed, she's fine. So that really helped her. But she truly 100% believed it, not 99%. Not, I believe it may come back. None of that. Like, no, I am healed.
Yeah.
And every day I would start with, I am healed, I am healthy, I am well, I am loved, I am grateful. And gratitude was a huge part of that.
Gratitude and affirmations.
Exactly. It was just that mantra of just the belief and keeping my vibration high, right? And I think in Reiki, it's the healer bringing the energy, the vibration at a specific level. And my ability to heal my own body was me keeping my level of my vibration to match yours. So that's, I believe, where the magic and the healing occurred, was where I was able to hold that vibration. And my goal right now and every day is to continue to hold as high as a vibration as possible. So hearing that intuition, following that breadcrumbs, knowing that these things are happening for me, not to me. This didn't happen to me, this happened for me, is the shift.
Wow. There's a lot of wisdom in that. It's paying attention to your inner wisdom. It's also the ability to reframe a situation that is difficult as what do I need to learn from that? I hear specific questions when I try to talk to clients sometimes about that. Are you saying to yourself, is there another way I could look at this? And could that way possibly be some of the things that you are saying that you channeled too? A lot of those messages, if you are coming from that place, you're going to behave differently too.
Exactly.
And feel differently.
Exactly, yeah. And I thought a lot about, people would say, I had a friend who signed me up for like the Princess Purple Warriors, and you're a cancer survivor. And I'm like, this has been a gift. I'm not survived anything. I'm not a warrior. I don't want to be fighting against my cells. These are my cells.
Yes.
This is my body.
It's the wrong metaphor.
I don't want to be like at battle with this diagnosis, which I never really felt. I never really felt I never knew my body with cancer in it, and I've never really felt like a cancer patient, I would have to say. It's the mind over matter, I think,
Yeah.
for me.
Well, it's such a healthy, positive way of looking at things, and I think it really matters. That's what the sunny side of the street is,
Yeah,
right here.
it's an yes, for sure.
That you don't ignore the problem either. You have to. You said I have to examine each marble.
Absolutely.
If it's a trauma, if it's something how you grew up with, whatever it was from, you have to look at it and sort of what does this mean and what am I supposed to learn from it? That's sort of an educate. If you're an educator, and
Yes,
it's consistent
yes,
with who you are as a
yes.
person as an educator
Yes.
too.
And
And
I-
Cindy
yeah.
also following her path to try to learn things.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think in that reflective part of like looking at the marbles, and that was real work, lots of tears, lots of pause, lots of why, lots of questioning. But I think the shift for me in the forgiveness was figuring out that I reacted to a lot of things. I grew up in a very reactive household. And I learned to not react as much, to use anger, to use resentment, to not hold those negative emotions, but rather to respond with more level, to not be so quick, and to really think intentionally and to be present in all of my actions and my responses. So I think that shift in that healing, in those review of those marbles, that was my biggest takeaway, was to really think about how to respond versus like just jump at things and react, because we do have a lot of, especially in our political climate, a lot of reactive people and
Yes,
comments
that's
from people,
true.
right? So that's one of my bigger takeaways.
And I would think the meditating also is
Absolutely.
a great practice to help you take your time with it
Yes.
and breathe through
To
it
stay
and figure
centered.
it out.
Yeah.
One of the things, there is so many of them, but one of the things that you talked about in the book that I love too, you talked about something that I talk about with clients too, which is grounding. And I wonder if you could explain that for people, how you both used it too,
Sure.
and how you use it in your healing work too.
Yeah, sure, I can start. I heard about grounding through the Heal documentary. That came out like literally the day I was home from the hospital, and heard about this idea of like, tree huggers from the 60s would, grab energy from the trees, or just being barefoot in the grass. So I did spend a lot of time like really researching that Mother Gaia, Earth, has this magnetic force and this pulse, this electrical pulse. We're all energy beings, all the trees, everything in our world is made up of energy. And I spent a lot of time in my yard barefoot. I lived near the beach. I went to the beach, and I just felt so much lighter and so much more connected to what was greater than me. A lot of my experiences were connecting to not just me, but what is greater than me, my guides, figuring out who my guides were, hearing Cindy's guides talk to me. But this connection with the earth and the energy that the earth would provide me really was incredible. And I think there was one moment where I was sitting in my yard in the shade, my feet were bare, I was just sitting there and I was just meditating. And that was the first time I heard a message from Source that said, as you allow self-love, then you'll be set truly free. And it was just as clear as day, but it wasn't like this big booming voice. It was just that subtle, but it was a full sentence. And I was like, that's my first message. And I was like, what did it say? And it was all about self-love and how that would be my sense of freedom. So because that was successful, I continued to just any chance I have, and I still today, even with my preschoolers, I'm like, take off your shoes, let's climb the tree. Try to just get that natural, we go into the beach, we all have that inclination to like, and that's it. It's because there's this energetic resonance that comes from the ocean, the sand, the trees, the world, right? Would you add
What would you
anything
add,
to that?
Cindy?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a stabilizing force. It's how we feel centered and anchored and stable in it, and it just gives us a sense of support. When I connect with Gaia or Mother Earth, which I do every single day, and I live in a forest, so I'm
Nice,
surrounded
yes.
by beauty. I literally tell the trees every morning I have what's it called, dogwoods that are blooming, and they're beautiful pink flowers. And every
yeah.
morning I say, you are so gorgeous, look at you, and I have conversations with the trees. But they are actually holding such a high vibration that by connecting with them, we raise our own vibrational frequency. And energy also can help. Being in nature can actually help us alchemize energy.
Right.
If you've ever just walked in a forest, you can just feel, like Hillary said, you can just feel your vibration lifting. You suddenly feel a sense of peace wash over you. I have sat tree and just energetically release something that was heavy, and I just let the tree take it. Like the earth will just take your heavy energy and just alchemize it to light. And so you know, she's supporting us, and she's our ally. And
Absolutely.
and we're really here as humans. We're here to be the bridge between the heavens and earth, right? Our bodies are the bridge between the two, and so there's an exchange of energy between earth and ourselves. And so that's
I
how
want to
see
just
it.
comment on a little of what you both said. For you, Cindy, I imagine at some point you've walked through Muir Woods. That for me is sort of that experience that you just described. I feel this peace
Yeah.
coming over me, and it's just beautiful. You see the trees bending towards the sun. It's just gorgeous. And the other thing I was going to say is that sometimes when I'm talking about grounding with clients, I'm trying to help them get something of how enormously important it was, that connection. So for some people, the best way is baseball, believe it or not. And I say, okay, have you watched a baseball game? And they say, yeah. I say, have you ever watched when a ball was hit to shortstop? If the shortstop gets the ball, he grounds his feet first before he throws, and the ball is accurate. If he throws on the run without taking the time to ground, he'll probably overthrow the first baseman, and he'll lose the out.
It's a great analogy.
And I think that's what happens. And I think the other partner in it, I don't know if we talked about it in your book, but centering also a little bit, that you can go ground and center yourself, and you can breathe and feel your central chakra really. And if you have to face a boss and say something assertive, you plant your feet on the ground. I talk to people about those kind of things, and it's all energy. It's all what you
all
guys
energy.
really highlight. And when we role play, I don't say just let's rehearse words you're going to say to him, but first plant your feet, feel your central chakra, and speak from your grounded and centered self.
Amazing.
And it can make a difference. I've seen it. I saw it in a demonstration where the guy was an Aikido master, and he said, put your hand. The guy's sitting down, and I was one of the schnooks that agreed to sit there. I put you guys sitting in the chair. You sit there, and the other guy put your hand on each shoulder blade, and your job is to get up, the people in the chair, and the other guy, you try to keep him down. And I looked at the guy behind me, he was twice my size, and I said, yeah, this isn't going to be so good. And so sure enough, when he gave the signal to get up, we couldn't get up.
Wow.
So then he said, I'm going to teach you guys sitting how to ground yourself and to center. So he taught us the breathing and grounding. And he said, this time, when I say get up from your center, not your muscles.
Yeah.
And I looked at the guy, I thought, well, I paid for this workshop. Let's do it. And we all knocked our people over.
Wow.
And it was so dramatic.
Wow.
And then we did it again. So I had a little boy in my practice, and he was struggling with his self-esteem. And I said, do you know how to arm wrestle? And he said, sure. I said, okay, so let's arm wrestle. So when he couldn't, I was much bigger than him, and I pinned him. It's not a big victory. So I said, now I'm going to teach you how to center. Let's see what happens. So I taught him the breathing. He's only about 7 years old. Taught him the breathing. He's a smart kid. And I said, now, when I say wrestle, arm wrestle me from your center, not your muscles. And he pinned me.
Wow.
And he said, you cheated. You let me win. I said, I wish.
I'd like to tell you.
These are powerful concepts. That's all I'm
Wow.
trying to say that you guys
That's
are talking
amazing.
about.
That's amazing.
What I wanted to also ask, this is another very big area in the book. And people know a little bit. They've heard about reincarnation. They've heard about past lives. I'd like you to try to explain how that fits in with this healing energy that worked for you guys, it sent messages for you, and also informs who you are as beings now.
Absolutely. So we're all souls who chose to incarnate to have this human experience, and our soul chooses many different incarnations, some on Earth, some in other places, but we choose to incarnate to have experiences and to learn lessons and to evolve and grow and remember who we are, right? And so our souls all chose to be here for these experiences. Sometimes when we're going through something, going through our lives, we can have a wound or have something that feels like scary to us or traumatic to us that we can't explain. We're like, I don't know. Like I had a client, and I'll give you an example. I had a client who got really scared when she drove over bridges. Anytime she had to drive over a bridge with water underneath it, she would like literally have panic attacks. And she's like, I don't understand why. It doesn't make sense. You know, nothing happened in my life to cause that. And we talked about, well, let's look at your past lives. Maybe there's an imprint from another lifetime that your soul is carrying, and that soul imprint is what you're tapping into. So sure enough, we did a past life reading, and we discovered a life that, a circumstance that happened that was very traumatic, where her and her children, their car rolled over a cliff and dropped into a big river below, and the car sunk, and she was able to get out and her children weren't. And so it was extremely traumatic.
Goodness.
As soon as we were able to go, oh my gosh, that's the root cause of that panic you're feeling
Right.
every time you drop the bridge. As soon as we were able to identify that and look at it, then she was able to heal that trauma that was in her. So some of our traumas, some of our wounds are coming from other lifetimes. They're in us at a soul level, at a subconscious level. But when you look at it just from, you know, from birth to where we are now, sometimes you can't find that origin point, and we have to look beyond this lifetime.
Yes, very interesting. How about for you, Hillary? What's your
I mean, I
relation
think
to
my
that?
thought, as you were talking, I think, you know, we've talked, or we did the work to find out that we've been in other lifetimes together. And you've been my caretaker, I've been yours. We chose our parents for this lifetime for reasons. Like, I think for me, it's realizing that I have a soul family that we've come to reincarnate, to incarnate together, to help each other through, to learn these valuable lessons. And to me, that's what I hold on to when I think about, you know, we've done a little bit of work on what some of my past lives were, and they were pretty intense, you know, just rather than going on and about that. But realizing that I am here to learn lessons, that everything is happening for me, not to me, and that I want to get it right this time. I want to do the best that I can in this lifetime. Not that I don't want to reincarnate or incarnate again, but I want to take the lessons that I've learned and evolve, so that if I do incarnate again, that the next experience will even be brighter. So that's kind of the frame that I look at, the lens I look at it through, is like, I want to do the work now. I want to learn these lessons. What else do you want to teach me? Because I've got it now. I understand that that's why I'm here, and that's why I've chosen to be here. And I believe I'm still here because I have more to learn, right? So I'm excited, like, let's go, show me what you've got. You didn't take me, I'm here.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, whether it's this book and teaching what I've learned, or you know, what other beautiful journeys are ahead of me, I look at it as my opportunity to evolve, so that the next time that I'm back, I will be in a different place that might be more enlightened. We'll see. So that's kind of my angle.
Really
on that.
interesting. Just one thought. I don't know how much time we have left, but I want to say one experience that I relate to with yours, both of you, is we had a woman that was living with us who was psychic, and she was an artist as well, and she was very gifted in terms of, as you guys. And what she said to me is, and she didn't know anything about me, she said, "You always protected your mother a lot. Is that true?" And I was shocked, because it was absolutely accurate. I always had that feeling like I had to protect her. And she said, "I saw a past life of yours, if you want to hear it." I said, "Do I want to hear it?" She said, "Yes, it'll help you." I said, "Go for it." And she said, "When you, in this life, you were the older brother of your mother. And I see you," and she described what I was wearing. "You were walking somewhere out west, and there was a cliff. And speaking of bridges, there was a cliff, and you told your mother, 'Get away from those branches because you're too close to the edge.' And she didn't listen, and she fell to her death. And ever since, when you came into this life, you've been trying to protect her." And you know, people, it's very hard for people maybe listening to say, can that really be true? Are you making it up? Is it what you want to believe? But sometimes you have what you guys are describing as that inner knowing. It isn't just you convince yourself. Somebody says something and it feels just right. And as soon as she said it, I said, that could be. I look at it as a hypothesis, but it gets high probability when you really feel like that sounds really right.
Right.
You know?
Resonates.
But I was so glad that you were not afraid to share all this aspect of what you both believe, because there's a lot of people in the world that do believe this, and the way you talk about it is positive. You turn it into lessons that you can use, and it's still all part of you feeling not alone, that you're there to learn things, you know?
I appreciate that.
You bet. What else? What role does ego play in the healing process? That's sort of us in our everyday wash
Yeah.
the dishes life.
It's just getting out of your own way, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I can make my day harder. It's just stepping aside and trying to be present. I try to guide my day through intention, through integrity, through intuition, but I have to step out of my own way sometimes. You want to expand on? You have a good definition of
I
ego.
just want to take the opportunity just to admire and acknowledge my sister's work, because the ego was very involved in her healing journey. She had to be willing to look at her shadows and face, you know, the aspects of herself that maybe weren't, you know, ideal in the highest expression, the way she would act, for example. And she looked at those things and was willing to make the changes. She had reprogramming to do. So she had to let go of the past behaviors, the limiting beliefs, all of the things that were low vibrational, and then do the work to replace those with new patterns, with new ways of react, like she said, versus responding. That's the work. We're here to refine ourselves. And ultimately, whenever we're triggered, it's like, oop, we still have work to do. I just got triggered. This emotion just came up. It's like, oop, there's still more. So if we look at our triggers, they're pointing to the wounds, the parts of us that still need healing. And then once we stop getting triggered less and less, then it's like, okay, now I'm a nice clear vessel and I've let go of a lot of stuff. Because to me, healing is about letting it go. It's about shedding all the programming, conditioning. And the more shedding we do, then our natural vibration rises. And that's when we can start to connect with our spirit guides and live. Life is just so much sweeter from that place, because we're no longer seeing life through the filter of all that stuff, all that gunk. The gunk is gone. Now we're just nice and
it's
clear.
Not blocked.
And, you know, it just changes everything. And so that's the work that Hillary did. It was not easy. She had to be very tenacious and really work at these things, you know, as all of us do. And that's what she did. She changed herself. She, you know, sparked a huge evolution and is a totally different person. I mean, if you had met her in this chair, you know, 7 years ago, you'd be looking at and talking to two totally different people.
I love what you're saying. It's beautiful. And she's feeling it. Tell me, Hillary.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's because you were there for me and were helping me process that. And I think, you know, the gift of your guides was a unique one. But thank you for that. It was just such an honor to write this book with you, and it was not an easy task. We had a lot of living to do.
That's what I was going to ask you about next.
Yeah, I mean, while the story was being written, like, I feel like I was still living through it, right? Both of our parents passed away, and so many things happened in the journey of trying to pull it together, and it just, it did come together, and we both heard the message, yes, you got to get it out there, now you've got to share, but what I was going to add too about what you were saying about ego before I go on about the book is that I feel like my lessons and the things I'm here to learn are not coming to me as mountains or these huge cliffs, right? They're like these little knolls or these little mounds, and like the big things are now like little things, and then they're getting, they repeat, they come back again and again until we refine them when we get them, but they come softer as you make your way to progress, and it's not just, oh, got that one's done. It's, oh, here it comes again. Don't remember how it was? This is a little softer now. Next time it's going to be even softer, and it's this progression. So I think that's where getting out of my ego way really helps, is to just realize, okay, I don't want it to come as a mountain. If I just stay present, it'll just be little, or next time it comes around. But
well,
well,
and another thing to add to that is, the ultimate goal is can we respond with love? Like, what is the highest response right now? Can I respond with love? And if we keep doing that, then the universe is like, all right, she's got it. Don't need to serve that lesson up anymore. You know, like, if we can just prove that we're always responding with the highest response, responding with unconditional love, then the universe is like, all right, I'm going to let her be. Let her have an easy life, because she's got it. You know, and I think the lessons are here to help us with that level of mastery.
Yes.
And that's really the human journey. We're all here to learn mastery of our emotions.
Very true. Very true. The story of this book, it's really a good title, I think, also, Healing with Love, because there definitely is a lot of information and example of healing in what you have, but there's also the lessons, particularly around self-love, and also the many different ways that you have shown love as sisters to each other. And I think that's what made me cry when I read this. It was so beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank
There's
you
a lot
guys.
of love here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wonder if any of all that you wrote in this book and stuff and worked really hard together to make something that was so valuable for everybody, how does it affect any future plans that you might think of in each of your lives? I know there's been change for both of you from this process, and it's beautiful. And do you think about any things that may come from it, just even in your imagining of what's next, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, part of the book that was important to me was the soul steps. At the end of each chapter, there's a little bit of a little hint or a little action item for everyone to do. And,
right,
and
that's
as
important.
people have come to me and said, oh, I have a similar diagnosis to what you got, how did you handle it? And I would give them my top 10 soul steps or tips, right? To me, that's what I want to share. And I think the highest form of learning is me teaching or sharing what I know. So I'm hoping to use my skills as an educator to share.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It does. How about for you, Cindy? What kind of things for you?
I feel called to just share the wisdom that we've acquired. Like Hillary said, this is the phase of our lives where it's like we've lived our lives, we've accumulated all this wisdom. Now it's time to share with those that are open to receiving or wishing to receive it. But I also, I have a healing practice. I do readings for people, and I love my work. I had someone tell me just teaching a Reiki class, and they're like, boy, did you find your soul purpose? Like, you are so living in your soul purpose. So that is really my only intention, is just to live my soul purpose and be of service to help others on their path. Like, that's it. And I just show up. I'm a channel. I let information and healing energy flow through me. And that's it. It's a very simple formula now. I've had to cultivate that and work towards this point in my life, but now it's just like, use me to help others. And that's what my guides do.
I think
I love it.
Yeah,
Love my work.
I don't blame you. I think for just listening to both of you, the lesson for me is, and it keeps happening as I do this, that when you have a passion for something, you've learned something, you're developing something, and you know it is really an expression of your soul and who you are, the love that you have for it just shows. Both of you have shining faces. When you talk about what you do and what you will be doing, there's a certainty that comes from all the work you've done inside. And it's whoever receives either of your services in any form is going to be very lucky. So I just want to thank you for sharing this story, and really hope that many of the people that hear this will be inspired to pick up the book and realize that they have this in them too. Your book is not ego. Again, your book is, this is what we went through, and here it is, the good and the bad, and we got through it. And so someone reading it gets the feeling, these are people that are down to earth, they're very smart, and they really put a lot of attention into trying to love themselves, and therefore sending out more and more into the universe. It's wonderful.
We're hoping it helps people. I mean, I think that's our goal, is to be able to serve others, and all through love, right? Nothing without love. Love is the answer, really.
And it sounds so simple, but it's so profound. And it's so
It is
true, in my
profound.
opinion.
It is.
I cannot think of two more guests that could be more the sunny side of the street, guys.
so
For
much.
all you people watching, I have been so excited about having them come on, and it's proved to be exactly like I hoped. They're just
Thank
marvelous
you.
people. And I know for me, I can't tell you what to do. I will not. But I read this book, and I've been doing counseling for so many years. You always have more to learn, and it's exciting to know there's more to learn. Not threatening. It's good.
It's good. It's good. Thank you so much for having us and for sharing the
It's
story.
been
So much.
an
Very
honor and a
grateful.
pleasure. You're both amazing. And I want to thank all the people, too, for watching this program. Hope it inspires you, too, to do some exploring on your own. They're pioneers leading the way in some ways. And if you find your own version of what they did and find that it helps you, it would make me happy, and I know it would make them happy that they could reach you too in that way. So again, thank you for watching, and please tune in again soon for another Sunny Side of the Street. Thank you for watching. Take care.
Thank you so much, Todd.
grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.